Hello everyone. Today in this lecture 17 we will be discussing the LVDT, linear variable differential transducer. So in this lecture we will going to discuss the structure of LVDT, the operation, what are its advantages, what are its disadvantages, and its application. So you can see here the LVDT structure here. It's a cross-sectional view which has to be observed. So we'll go one by one, the structural and how the operation. Okay, so this is a differential transformer, which are passive inductive, also called as the passive inductor transformer. So these are differential means we have a three windings here. Actually, this is the primary winding P1, and this is another winding S1, the S2. So P1 is the primary winding, S1 and S2 are the two secondary winding. Okay, they are formed at the hollow cylinder. This is a hollow cylinder here, where here the core has been to be displaced. Displaced means we can have a go forward and backward. The movement is been done. One more thing, that is the secondary winding S1 and S2 have equal number of turns. How much the number of turns will be having S1, that much the number of turn will be S2. And here the primary winding is connected to an AC source. And this is the movement where on which will be the voltages can be applied by the P1 winding. So on the by the principle of magnetic coupling between the primary and the secondaries. So this is how we are going to take a values, or this is the process flow. The displacement to be measured is to be applied to an arm attached to a soft core or a soft iron core. So this is an arm which has to be pushed with the help of this soft iron core has been to be pushed with the help of this arm. Push and go back, push and pull back. Okay, this core is made up of an nickel iron alloy which is slotted longitudinally to reduce eddy current losses. So unwanted, whatever the current has to be generated or usually generates, to make it reduce. So we cannot make it 100% efficient devices here. For that purpose, we will be using a nickel iron alloy which will try to reduce and also will reduce the eddy current losses there. It's a one kind of a unwanted signal, we can say. When this is a core at a normal position, when this is a core at a normal position, the equal voltages are to be induced in the secondary winding. For example, if a 10 volt is here, so the same amount you can see here, the core has been displaced in the perfect normal position here. So this much is done here with in contact with the S2 and this much is contact with the S1. Okay, so this is the equal voltages will be induced. So what will happen, voltage induced in the S1 is equal to the voltage induced into the S2. The same amount of voltages has to be generated when it is in the perfect normal position. Okay, and the output of the secondary winding, that is S1, is ES1, the output voltage. Similarly, for S2 winding, the output voltage is ES2. So now, what is doing this S1 and S2? This is a two different voltages. So what is doing? We are making it to single volt. How? Voltage there, that is the S1 minus S2 we have to be calculated. Hence the name differential transducer. It actually this all act as a transformers there. So usually they are made a connections or may have made an arrangement that their S1 and S2 are in opposite positions, so that the voltage induced should subtract each other, S1 minus S2. Okay. So you can see in this circuit actually how they are connected here. This is a hollow here. You can see this border line in which the soft iron core has to be passed with the help of this arm. This is the position A and this is the position B. And this is the primary winding which are connected to the AC source, and these are the secondary winding. This is my S1, this is S2. Okay, S1 and S2. When this core has to be pushed like this way, so you can see here how this looks. Okay, when a core as this push here, so that time this is the null position. So what will happen? The same voltage has been induced in the ES1 and the same voltage has been induced in the ES2. So that time ES1 minus ES2 is 0. That time the voltage across ES1 minus voltage across ES2 is 0. Now if a core is moved to the left side, so what will happen? The more flux links will be contact with the winding S1 there and less with the S2. So what is this? ES1 output voltage will be more than the E at the ES2. So ES1 issue is greater than ES2. So that time magnitude of the current or output, that is the voltage now, the whatever the magnitude ES1 minus ES2 is in phase with the ES1, in phase, so that we can say it as a positive. Similarly, when this core is moved to this side, the flux of linking with the winding S2 is greater than the link with the winding S1. This results in ES2 becoming larger than ES1. So that time the output voltage is case is E0 is equals to ES2 minus ES1 and is in phase with the ES2. So whatever the voltage is generated given the supplied by the AC source via primary winding is in phase with the ES2. The amount of voltage can change, the change in the either of secondary winding is proportional to the amount of movement of the core. How much the movement is been done, that much we can have the voltage can be induced in the secondary winding, and we can take it to a whatever we require as per a required thing. Hence we have an indication of the amount of linear motion. So that's the how much the movement has been done, that much we can be controlled. That's the direction of the motion can be determined. How much the movement has been forward and backward, that much will be got here. Okay. Similarly, now the position what I have been explained here, the same thing when it is the position A, that's the left side. When it's position 0, that's a core 0, core at 0, and another at the core at B, that's the ES is in more in contact with the winding S2. So here the output AC voltage inverts as the core passes the center position. So when it passes the thing, that time it tries to invert. The greater the difference in the value of ES1 and ES2, and consequently the greater the value of E0. Hence the amplitude in the function of the distance the core has moved, and the polarity of the phase indicate the direction of the motion as is shown in the figure. Okay, you can see here when this is at the core, it is at position A, at a initial position. So that time it is linked with the winding S1. So what is happening? So that time the you can consider in this way also. You can analyze in the this way how the A moving to a null and B moving to the null. So this is how we can explain B moving to the null and A moving to the null. But we can analyze in another way, that's the it is at the null position and it is slowly moving to the A position, that is it's a moving like 0, it is moving like this way. So that time it is up to certain a. When it is up to till a, it is at the linear. And these are the same residual voltage, always it will be available whenever this output is voltage. And this is where you can say the displacement line, and this is the how much the voltage has been generated. You can see it here. When it at 0, it is little less. Okay, it's not a 0 exactly, it's some, we have some kind of a residual voltage. Residual voltage is like some initial voltage, it will be always present in the circuit, whether it will keep the core inside or keep the core outside also, in the null position, or also you can remove it. Okay, so it is starting slowly, and unless and until it reaches a, it is linear. How much the flux linking with the voltage has been there, that much has been kept. So what is this happening here? When you are moving, then the core is moving here, some voltages has been generated, and also some voltage has been generated at the winding S2. So it is trying to nullify S1 minus S2. So when it is coming exactly at the A, so that time what is telling, it is the flux linking with the S2 is very less there. Flux linking with the S2 is less there. Similarly, what is happening with the B, when it is starting at 0, it is like when it comes till here, the flux linking with the S1 is also is reducing. So here this time S2 is greater, yeah, voltage at the S2 winding is greater. Here at this moment S1 winding is greater. And remember one thing, one at the what that the voltage at A is always in phase with the A, and voltages at B is in out phase with the B. That's one problem here. So what is that? So voltage at A is always positive, and voltage at B is in reverse position. It's a reverse voltage. Okay, in a positive voltage at the position A, and negative voltage at the position B. You can see here the core position, how it is trying to reduce this. So that is trying to say that it is in phase and the out phase. Okay. So depending on our application, we can change the terminals. Now we can see here the voltage is negative and here voltage is positive. You can change the position, or you can change the terminal in the primary transducer and make it a positive and B negative. So this is how the logic here. So what is that? We can say that whatever the voltage generated at the core A is in 180-degree phase shift with the core position at B. So this is negative voltage generated, here the positive voltage generated at a B. Okay, some are in phase, some are out phase, we say. Okay, so that's the logic what we need to understand. We can, by comparing the magnitude and the phase of the difference output voltage with that of source, the amount and direction of the movement of the core and the hence of the displacement may be determined. Usually, the output signal may also be applied to a recorder, or to controller can restore the movement system to its normal position. So we can see where it can be a normal and where it can be movement. So this is for some of the recording purpose. So usually the output here, voltage of the LVDT, is a linear function of the core displacement within a limited range of motion. That's the limitation what it is trying to put it here. It's a limited, say 5 millimeter from the null position. Okay, so whatever is there, we can see it here. This is what the graph of the positioning. This is the positioning. This is the graph of voltages and displacement. How to voltage versus the displacement can be observed, and here which are in phase and the out phase, how they are in phase with each other, we can be observed. And after OA, this position, and OB, the non-linearity characteristic will arrive. Okay, some commercial model that produces 50 millivolts per millimeter to 300 millivolt to millimeter also available. Here 300 millivolt per millimeter implies that a 1 millimeter displacement of the core produces a voltage output of 300 millivolt. So what it is trying to say that at least for example, that at least a small 1 millimeter movement causes a 300 millivolt to be generated at the output voltage. If it is saying a 300 here, which is that 50 millivolt per millimeter. If this is a 51 millimeter movement displacement is done, so that time only 50 millivolt is generated. Like that, up to 300 millivolt per millimeter movement can be implemented. Okay. Similarly, now linear LVDT are available in the ranges as low as plus or minus 0.05 into as high as plus or minus 25 inches and are sensitive enough to measure to measure displacement of well below 0.001 inches. They also can be obtained for operation at temperatures as low as minus 265 degrees Celsius and high as plus 600 degrees Celsius, and are also available in radiation resistant design for nuclear operations. So these are mainly can be designed also for the nuclear operations. Now, advantages of LVDT. First is the linearity. The output voltage of the transducer is practically linear for displacement up to 5 mm. That is the linearity of about 0.05% in the commercial LVDTs. Infinite resolution. The change in the output voltage is stepless. That's the effective resolution depends more on the test equipment. Okay, more on the test equipments there. So what is trying to say the infinite resolution? Whatever the smallest change in the voltage, that much the smallest output also can be generated, so that it can be got at the output. The smallest finite change also it can be recorded. It gives an high output. That is because therefore no intermediate amplification devices has to be required. So how much we require the output voltage, that much through we have to pass through the primary winding, and that much we have to is got through the secondary winding. So minute losses will be there, that has to be reconsidered. That is the next one is the high sensitivity. It has the producers here are high as 40 volt per millimeter. Even the smallest in the millimeter 40 volts it can be recorded. Ruggedness. They can tolerate a high degree of vibration and shock because they are made up of very good strength materials. Less friction. There are no sliding contacts. So no sliding contacts, no losses or no frictions. The low hysteresis. The transducer has a low hysteresis. Hence, repeatability is excellent under all conditions. So, low hysteresis means what? Whatever the hysteresis process is there, it is done due to the magnetic coupling can be reduced. Low power consumption. Most LVDTs consume less than 1 watt of power. Okay, so they produce they can absorb less than 1 watt of power. So low power consumption. The disadvantages of LVDT. The larger the displacement are required is for appreciation of displacement of movement. So when you consider it for the larger displacement, some of the factors has to be reconsidered, and we have to design in such a way. Some losses also we have to be thought. They are sensitive to stray magnetic fields, so that we can make it to make a magnetic field in a proper direction so that it doesn't affect the reading. The shielding as possible, so you can provide it with a shielding. The receiving instrument must be selected to operate on AC signal. Okay, to operate on AC signal, or a demodulator network must be used if a DC output is required. So these are the two another disadvantage. There has to be DC or our external demodulator network has to be done. The dynamic response is limited mechanically by the mass of the core and electrically by applied voltage. So this is what the external, depending on the core. If the highest the core, the movement is very slow, so that time we can't get a very good high voltage and a faster linear movement. So that is affecting the mass of the core is affecting the applied voltage. So we cannot go for lighter weight also, we cannot go for higher weight also. So that design has to be considered when we are making a LVDT device. Temperature also affect the temperature. So continuous movement of the thing might affect the continuous windings and the continuous voltage of the AC provided to be the effect might affect the transducer. So we can add it with a additional coolant or a cooling devices to it. So what are the application of LVDT? LVDT as a displacement transducer is used in number of application in the measurement of control measurement and control the system in the big systems and big machineries where it has to be decided with some kind of a sliding the measurement thickness or any kind of a reading. So that time we can be used here. Usually we use it in the manufacturing, the PLCs and all, there we usually use this. In many transducer systems, LVDTs are used as the basic transducing element. So it has to be a basic using LVDT. Deflection due to the various physical quantities such as pressure, load, and the acceleration can be measured. So it can be used as a secondary transducer. So whatever we got from the temperature and pressure and all, you can take it to this LVDT setup, and from there we can generate a voltage. LVDTs find great usage in numerically controlled machine for small displacement measurement. So you can use it for small displacement. So like when we generate a dynamos and all like that, also we can use this in principle, and in small amount of systems where you can be use this one. In a creep testing machine, LVDT is also used in deflection manner. So whenever this the creep testing is done, so that time we use this kind of a deflection for the use to measure the deflection. The amount of deflection has to be generated, that has to be recorded and converted into the whatever the desired output we has to be required there. And this is the HSQLC textbook which is prescribed by the VTU, has to be referred, and from where I have referred and may prepared the slides. The other two are the extra references. Thank you.